Have you ever noticed that the weight exhausting you isn't out there, but the one you carry inside? The silent pressure to keep it together, to appear fine, to control every twist of life. The Buddha's wisdom whispers another way, not adding more layers, but loosening the grip. Because when you soften that hold, even slightly, something shifts. The mind finds space, the heart opens, and life stops feeling like a battle you must win. That's where freedom quietly begins. Letting go is not about giving up. It's not turning away from the world or becoming careless. It's about loosening the grip on your plans, your image, your need to have every outcome in your hands. The Buddha taught that true freedom doesn't come when we collect more achievements, but when we release the invisible chains we've been holding. It's like unclenching a fist that has been closed for years. The moment you open it, space appears, light flows in, and you realize you've been carrying stones you didn't need. When you loosen your grip, the heart starts to breathe again. You stop judging every emotion as good or bad. Anger passes like a storm cloud. Joy visits like sunlight. And you realize you are not the weather. You are the sky that holds it all. So ask yourself today, what's one thing you can loosen your grip on? Not forever, not perfectly, just for now. Watch what happens when you give your heart a little more room, because the Buddha's answer to what happens when you truly let go is simple. You don't lose yourself. You find the space where peace has been waiting all along. If this message speaks to you, let it be your practice for the next 24 hours and see how life begins to change. We will now step into the first chapter of today's video, when the mind begins to settle. Think of your mind for a moment. How often is it truly still? Most of the time, it jumps restlessly from one thought to another, replaying yesterday's mistakes, rehearsing tomorrow's worries, weaving stories out of every small moment. It's like a marketplace at noon, with voices shouting, footsteps rushing, deals being made in every corner. Busy, loud, unrelenting. And yet deep beneath that noise, there has always been another layer, a quiet space that never left you. The Buddha pointed us to this space through the practice of letting go, not by running away from life, not by silencing every thought by force, but by softening our grip on them. When you loosen that grip, even slightly, the mind begins to change. It's like the marketplace at the end of the day. The crowd thins, the chatter fades, the air feels different. You suddenly notice the soft light falling on the empty stalls, the sound of your own footsteps. That's the beginning of stillness. In Buddhism, there is a word for this calm clarity, samatha, meaning a peaceful mind that's no longer pulled in every direction. It's not emptiness, it's not numbness. It's a mind that can finally breathe. This stillness is not fragile, it's steady, like a lake that reflects the moon without disturbance. Modern science echoes this ancient wisdom. Brain scans show that when people practice letting go, whether through meditation, mindfulness, or even simple pauses in their day, the areas of the brain linked to fear and stress begin to quiet down. At the same time, the regions connected to focus, emotional balance, and compassion become more active. It's as if your nervous system is shifting from survival mode into a natural rhythm of presence. But letting go is not just a brain exercise, it's deeply human. Think of the last time you were truly at ease. Maybe it was sitting by the ocean, watching the waves roll in without hurry, or walking under trees, hearing the leaves whisper in the wind. You weren't trying to hold on to that moment, yet it stayed with you. Why? Because your mind for once was simply here. That's the power of letting go. Not to escape reality, but to meet it fully without the constant filter of control and judgment. Imagine living with that kind of mind, even in the middle of daily life. Standing in a long grocery line without irritation, hearing criticism without immediately defending yourself. Watching a disappointment arise and pass without being swallowed by it. When the mind begins to settle, life feels less like a series of problems to fix and more like a river to move with. The noise doesn't disappear overnight. Some days will still feel like a crowded marketplace, but you start to notice that you have a choice. You can step back from the stall, take a breath, and remember, this moment is enough. In time, this practice becomes less about doing and more about being. You stop measuring every moment by what it can achieve or what it might lead to. Instead, you start tasting life directly. The warmth of tea, the sound of rain, the feeling of your breath moving in and out. These simple moments, once overlooked, become anchors that keep the mind from being swept away. So as we begin this journey into the first chapter of today's video, remember, letting go is not a grand act. It's a gentle return, over and over, to the quiet space that has always been within you. That is where samatha lives. That is where the mind begins to settle. Not in some distant future, but right here, right now. As the mind begins to settle, something remarkable starts to happen. The noise softens, the breath feels fuller, and you notice that beneath the thoughts, there is an entire sky where emotions drift in and out. This is where we step into the second chapter of today's journey, seeing emotions like passing clouds. Most of us are taught to either chase pleasant feelings or run from unpleasant ones. Happiness? We cling to it, desperate to keep it from fading. Sadness? We push it away, distract ourselves, or pretend it's not there. But in doing so, we create tension. It's like trying to hold on to a cloud. The harder you grasp, the faster it dissolves. Letting go doesn't mean losing your emotions. It means meeting them fully without becoming their prisoner. Imagine sitting under a vast sky. Clouds appear, some bright and light, others heavy and dark. You don't have to name them, fix them, or judge them. You simply watch them pass, knowing they were never the sky itself. Buddhist practice invites us to be present with each feeling, whether it's joy, grief, anger, or love. This presence is not cold detachment, it's the warmth of truly listening to what your heart is saying without letting it dictate your every move. Joy is allowed to be joy. Pain is allowed to be pain. Both are welcome guests, but neither gets to own the house. Here is where the pause becomes powerful. That small gap between feeling and reacting is the birthplace of freedom. It's the moment where you notice, I'm feeling anger, before anger turns into harsh words, or I'm feeling fear, before fear convinces you to retreat. This pause is not weakness, it's mastery. It's the ability to choose your response rather than be driven by old habits or outside triggers. Modern psychology agrees. Mindfulness-based therapy teaches that by observing emotions without judgment, the brain's threat response begins to calm. The amygdala, the part that fires up when we feel under attack, starts to cool down. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the center for reasoning and choice, becomes more engaged. In simple terms, you gain back the steering wheel of your life. This doesn't mean you stop feeling deeply. In fact, you may find that your emotions become richer, more textured, when you stop resisting them. Sorrow may still visit, but instead of overwhelming you, it opens a door to compassion for yourself and for others who suffer in the same way. Joy may still fade, but you savor it fully without the anxiety of losing it. Think of the last time you reacted instantly to something and later wished you hadn't. What if, in that moment, you had given yourself the gift of one breath? One conscious pause to see the cloud for what it was. Temporary, changing, not you. That is the practice. That is letting go in real time. When you start living like this, the world feels different. The ups and downs still come, but they stop throwing you off course. You begin to trust that you can meet whatever arises, not by controlling the sky, but by learning to move gracefully under it. And so, as we move deeper into this exploration, remember, seeing emotions like passing clouds is not about indifference, it's about freedom. Freedom to feel without being swept away. Freedom to love without fear. Freedom to live this very moment, fully awake. As we learn to see emotions like passing clouds, something deeper begins to shift. Our relationship with the very idea of me. This is where we arrive at the next chapter of our journey, when the self softens. We often believe the self is something solid, unchanging, a fixed identity we must protect at all costs. But in Buddhist wisdom, the self is more like a river. The water you touch today is not the same as yesterday's. You are not the same person you were last year, last month, or even last breath. This insight is called anatta, the truth of no fixed self. When we hold too tightly to the idea of me, change feels threatening. A job loss becomes a personal failure. A breakup becomes proof that we're unworthy. Even small disagreements can feel like attacks on our identity. But when the self softens, we see change for what it is, the natural current of life, not a personal punishment. Letting go of the rigid self doesn't erase who you are. It makes you more fluid, more open. Like a tree that bends in the wind, you remain rooted yet flexible. This flexibility frees you from the exhausting need to defend, prove, or compare yourself. And here's the paradox. When the self becomes lighter, your care for others becomes deeper. You no longer help someone just to feel good about yourself or to gain recognition. Compassion stops being a transaction and becomes a natural state. As effortless as breathing, think of times when you were so absorbed in helping or creating that you forgot about me entirely. Maybe you were cooking for a sick friend, listening to someone in pain, or painting something purely for the joy of it. In those moments, you weren't concerned with how you looked or what you'd gain. You were simply present. That's what it feels like when the self softens, a spaciousness that makes room for genuine connection. Modern psychology echoes this truth. Studies on self-transcendence show that when people shift focus away from defending their ego, they experience greater happiness, resilience, and life satisfaction. In other words, loosening the grip on me not only reduces suffering, it unlocks more joy. So how do we begin? It starts with noticing the small ways the self tries to solidify. The urge to be right in an argument, the need to control outcomes, the fear of looking foolish. When you catch these moments, you can ask, what if this isn't about me at all? That simple question can open a door. In the end, the self is not an enemy to destroy. It's a lens we can learn to see through more clearly. And when that lens is no longer clouded by fear or pride, life flows with less friction. This is the gift of letting go of a rigid self. You become more alive, more connected, and more free to love without holding back. As we leave behind the insights of the mind, the emotions, and the softer sense of self from the earlier parts, we now arrive at something deeply practical, how we live and act each day. That's the moment when today's next chapter is revealed, when action becomes light and full of meaning. When the ego softens and compassion naturally expands, the way you act in the world begins to transform. Before, every step was often weighed down by pressure, the need to succeed, to be recognized, to have things turn out exactly as planned. Now you still show up, you still contribute, but you're no longer bound by the invisible threads of fear and expectation. Letting go does not mean giving up. On the contrary, it allows you to act with full presence. You engage in your work in each moment, not to prove your worth, but because the act itself holds value. When results come, you welcome them. When they don't, you smile and keep going. Like a gardener who plants seeds with care, knowing they cannot command the rain or the sun. In the Buddha's teaching, there's a timeless truth. Do what needs to be done, but do not cling to the outcome. When your actions are no longer centered around me, the energy you bring shifts. It becomes lighter, clearer, and more naturally inspiring. You act to give, to help, to share what is good, not for a medal on the wall or applause from the crowd. Your sense of purpose starts to shift from what will I achieve to what meaning will this bring and who will this connect me to. You begin to measure life not by accomplishments alone, but by the value you add to others' lives. Real connection with people, with your community, with your own heart becomes the most treasured reward. And here's the beautiful paradox. Without the weight of fear and pressure, you become more adaptable. You face challenges without panic, handle setbacks without self-blame. Like a bamboo stalk, hollow inside yet deeply rooted, you bend in strong winds and stand tall again when the air is calm. Letting go in action is not just a skill, it's a way of living. It gives you the freedom to give your best while also enjoying the journey. And in that state, every act you take, no matter how small, carries something rare, the quiet, steady presence of peace. As we leave behind the lightness and clarity of purpose from the previous section, we step naturally into today's next chapter, the silent strength that keeps the mind unbreakable. This is where we explore what allows the heart to remain calm when the ground beneath us seems to shift, and how letting go becomes the root of true resilience. Real strength is not about building walls so high that nothing can touch us. It is about finding the balance to bend without breaking, to meet life's winds without losing our roots. The Buddha spoke of an awakened mind as unshaken by worldly conditions, a mind that does not collapse in sorrow, that carries no stains, and rests secure within itself. When the grip of fear and the need to protect our image begins to loosen, our decisions change. We act with clarity, not panic. We listen more deeply without being pushed by the approval or disapproval of others. We no longer react just to protect the self. Instead, we respond in ways that align with wisdom and compassion. Letting go does not protect us from loss or pain. Those moments will still come. A failed plan, an unexpected ending, a sudden storm in our lives. But the way we meet them is transformed. We no longer fight to keep everything exactly as it was. We adjust, like a tree swaying yet standing firm. This is not passive surrender. It's an active, grounded presence. The quiet confidence of knowing we can face change without losing ourselves. And from this place, something remarkable happens. Our energy is freed. No longer trapped in endless cycles of defending, resisting, or clinging, we can focus on what truly matters. Living fully, giving freely, and walking forward with steady steps. Such steadiness is not built overnight. It grows each time we choose awareness over fear, each time we let the winds pass through us instead of pushing back. And in that choice, we discover a freedom that is far stronger than control. The freedom to act with both courage and peace. Now we arrive at the next part of today's journey, the profound peace beyond all conditions. It's the point on the path where letting go reaches its deepest expression. Here, peace is no longer dependent on circumstances, achievements, or even the state of your emotions. It is a peace that exists simply because the grasping has stopped. In Buddhism, this is nibbana, not a mythical paradise far away, but a real state of mind where greed, hatred, and delusion have burned out. Imagine a fire that has gone completely cold. There's nothing left to consume, and so there is rest. In this space, the mind no longer fights to prove itself, defend itself, or rearrange life so it feels safe. It simply is. This peace is not numbness. It's not indifference. It's the most vivid form of presence, where you can meet life exactly as it is without pushing or pulling. You see joy as joy, sorrow as sorrow, without needing either to last or to disappear. The Buddha compared it to tasting the ocean. No matter where you drink, it always has the same taste, the taste of liberation. Modern psychology points to a similar insight. When the mind stops clinging, the nervous system shifts out of constant fight-or-flight mode. Stress hormones settle, brain activity tied to ego softens, and a more balanced, spacious awareness emerges. This isn't just feeling calm, it's the ability to live without being thrown off balance by the endless changes of the world. And perhaps the most beautiful part? This peace was never something you had to create. It's always been there, quietly waiting beneath the noise of wanting and resisting. Letting go doesn't add something new to you. It reveals what has always been yours. And now we arrive at the next part of today's journey. Daily practices to let go with grace. This is where the wisdom of letting go moves from philosophy into the rhythm of your everyday life. Because letting go is not a single leap, it is a series of gentle steps, taken moment after moment. Think about how many times in a day you hold on without even realizing it. Replaying a conversation in your head, tensing your shoulders in traffic, clinging to the hope that something will turn out exactly as you want. Each of these moments is an opportunity to pause and ask yourself, can I soften my grip, even just a little? Buddhist practice invites us to treat life like a continuous meditation. You don't have to be sitting on a cushion to let go. You can do it while washing dishes, while waiting in line, while hearing a comment that stings. The act is the same. Notice the tightness, breathe into it, and release. These small releases matter more than grand breakthroughs. Why? Because they retrain your nervous system. They create a new habit of meeting life without the armor of constant control. Over time, you begin to notice that you're not as easily thrown off by delays, disappointments, or uncertainty. There's more space inside you, and that space feels like freedom. Letting go daily also means letting go of the story you tell yourself about who you are. Maybe you're not the one who always has to be strong today. Maybe you can be the one who asks for help. Maybe you can allow yourself to laugh even if yesterday was heavy. Every time you release an old identity, you make room for something new to bloom. The Buddha's teaching reminds us, the path is walked one mindful step at a time. You don't have to force yourself into instant enlightenment. Just keep showing up, noticing and loosening your grip again and again. And perhaps most importantly, be gentle with yourself. Some days you'll forget. Some days you'll cling tighter than you'd like. That's okay. Letting go is not perfection, it's permission. Permission to return, to begin again, to choose peace in the middle of chaos. That's the real practice. From our previous part, we learned how letting go is not just a spiritual idea, but a living, breathing practice that can be woven into our daily rhythm. Now, in the final part of today's journey, we step into something deeply practical, bringing letting go into modern life. Because wisdom is not complete until it's lived, tested, and embodied in the real world. In the fast-moving pace of modern work, letting go becomes a quiet superpower. Instead of exhausting yourself by trying to control every situation, every outcome, you shift your focus to what you can give, your best effort, your full attention, and then release the rest. When you stop gripping so tightly to results, tension softens, creativity flows more freely, and solutions often appear where pressure once blocked them. In relationships, letting go transforms connection. This doesn't mean withdrawing or caring less. It means releasing unrealistic expectations that others must meet every need or mirror every belief. You start to listen more deeply, accept more fully, and love more gently. Without the constant push to shape someone into your version of right, bonds naturally grow stronger and more resilient. For mental well-being, letting go works like a reset button. The next time stress builds, pause and notice. Where is it sitting in your body? Take a slow breath and ask, can I loosen this, even just a little? You don't need to fix everything at once. That one small release can create enough space for calm to return and clarity to guide your next step. And when paired with mindfulness, letting go becomes a way of living. Everyday moments, sipping tea, walking to the store, washing dishes become quiet gateways to release the thoughts that grip your mind. You notice the way water feels against your hands, the rhythm of your steps, the taste of each sip. This steady awareness doesn't erase life's challenges, but it helps you meet them without losing your center. In a world that often measures worth by what you hold on to, possessions, achievements, even grudges, letting go may feel like rebellion, but in truth, it's a return to what is real, what matters, and what allows the heart to rest. And maybe, just maybe, the most radical thing you can do in this busy, loud, relentless world is to breathe, release, and choose peace again and again. When you truly let go, it's as if the chains you didn't even know you were wearing quietly fall away. You're no longer held hostage by the constant pull of thoughts, the waves of emotions, or the endless stories the mind spins. You realize that freedom was never about adding more layers of control, but about gently removing the weight that was never yours to carry. In this space, you don't lose yourself. You rediscover yourself. The self that is light, unburdened, and free to meet life with openness. You begin to see the world with clearer eyes, responding not out of fear or habit, but from a place of choice. Every breath becomes an act of peace, every step a reminder that you are no longer running from or chasing after anything. And then a deeper truth unfolds. Peace is not a hiding place. It is a way of fully living. It is the courage to walk into life without armor, without the need to defend or prove. It is the quiet confidence that whatever comes, you can meet it with steadiness and compassion. If these words have touched something within you, let them be more than just inspiration. Let them be a beginning. Today, in this very moment, loosen your grip on just one thing you've been holding too tightly. Feel the difference it makes. And if you're ready to continue walking this path of release and awakening, leave a comment below. Share one thing you're willing to let go of today. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll explore even deeper into the art of living free.